He's the Cincinnati head coach in his sixth year, Luke Fickell, and he was at Ohio State for his playing career, coaching career, but he's turned that Cincinnati program around. They certainly did some damage last year, got a couple of players in the pros, Desmond Ridder with the Falcons, Sauce Gardner with the Jets. Cincinnati plays at number 19 Arkansas on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, and Coach joins us now. You're not going to be able to sneak up on anybody this year, right?
I don't think so, which is a good thing. I mean, I think in those second and third years, we still were trying to make sure people understood who we were and make a name for ourselves. And I think there's an evolution to what it is that you're doing. And I don't think by now that you're going to sneak up on a whole lot.
But that win in Notre Dame and in South Bend, that got people's attention because that felt like, okay, this is a true big. Did it feel like it was a turning point, changing perception point for you?
Well, we'd always said that, until you beat one of those blue bloods, it's hard to be lumped into or even given the respect. And, it happened at any point in time, but you've seen it all over years and years. But I think the consistency and then to win that game, especially on the road, gave us a little more validity for even what we were doing as a program. Because, when we got beat by Georgia or whatever it was like, hey, we're not to where we need to be. We know we got to grow. And until you can beat one of those top five, type 10, historically national teams, you don't have a whole lot to hang your hat on.
Yeah, and I don't know what it does for future scheduling. You got Arkansas right out of the gate. That's a top 20 team. When was that game scheduled?
I'm not sure. I'm sure it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was one of those guys that never looked very far ahead. So I until about 2 years ago, when they said let's talk schedules, I was like, what does it matter? I mean, we've got a long way to go. We're just going to keep our eyes here and do this. And until about 2 years ago, okay, I maybe have a few minutes here to try to think about some of that stuff and look at the future and planning for your program. But that was probably about 5 years out. I think it is unique. I think it's unique to go down south to start against an SEC team. You never know what kind of team you're having 5 years away, whether it's your own team or their team. But I always think it's going to be an environment, no matter what, that you got to be prepared for.
But I wonder, are you going to be able to schedule opponents that will help you be in the playoff now that you guys are good and that you're in a conference? I don't know where we're headed here, Luke.
I don't either, and I know that I would say that if we're in the Big 12, I don't know that you got to go out and make sure you've got a marquee game. I'm not saying you avoid them, but I think that when you're in those leagues, you got to say that our league is strong enough that it's going to put us in a position, no matter what it is that we do, if we win. But I still think there's a push in college football in some way, somehow, if we grow this, playoff system. I'm not getting on that, soapbox name of sorts, but it'll give us more opportunities through the whole country to play some of these games early in the year. We get no preseason, we get no scrimmage, so the first one is always really tough. But I think if it doesn't, completely, have a overriding impact on the entire season, I think we'll see a lot more of these games.
But what was the difference you noticed between your team and Georgia?
I think it comes down to just natural size. I think the guys up front is where you first see it. And I'm not saying we don't have big guys, but sometimes our guys are in their fourth and fifth year, that have kind of grown into be a 310 pounder where, I think sometimes in the SEC and some of the leagues, you get guys walking in the door that are naturally 310 pounds. And there sometimes is a little bit of a size difference. And I think it's more up front. I think, a lot of the skill positions and things like that.
Well, that defensive line was pretty impressive that Georgia had.
Well, yeah, I've watched them on film again this year, just getting prepared for this game. And it's a hard one to watch because you're like, I don't know if we can do some of those things. But I think with the top 5, 10 teams, that's where the difference usually comes. It's those guys up front.
We're talking to Luke Fickell. He's the Cincinnati head coach. They have Arkansas at Arkansas, and they're the 19th ranked team in the country coming up this Saturday. How many of your players know that you played nose guard?
I would say a few. I'm not sure as many as the younger kids. I think when it first started, you taught me, not you talked about it, but even as the you changed and you became the new head coach. I think there was a lot more talk about where you came from. Once you've been there for a few years, I think you've been able to change the talk to what it is that we've done as coaches. But there's times when I do remind them that, hey, this is an old defensive lineman wrestler, so I just don't want you guys to forget that.
Yeah, but do you ever get into a stance? Do you ever get down, all fours just to show them how it's done?
Yeah, I try to, and then try to stop short of making contact because I'm not sure exactly what will happen. I'm not sure if the Achilles will continue to stay intact or what it is. So, you can fool them with a stance and an alignment and some intensity in your face. I'm not sure I want to show them how to come off the ball and what it looks like when contact is made.
Is Cincinnati in a position where you lose players to the portal, or are you getting players from the portal?
We've been very, very, very fortunate. We've lost a few, not many that we would say, I don't want that to happen. We've lost 2 young guys, I think, in the last couple of years that just never quite gave themselves an opportunity to understand and embrace the culture. So for us, even when the portal first started, I said, this is going to be an advantage to us because we're going to take care of our kids. We're going to build relationships with our kids so they won't leave. But then we're going to have opportunities to bring the right ones into our program, whether they're younger or older guys, just to give us, some difference makers or some variety. It's not the way we want to build the program or grow the program, but it's a way that we can enhance the program.
Good luck against Arkansas, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
That's Luke Fickell, Cincinnati head coach. They got Arkansas number 19 this year. That'll be this weekend.